To you, we're still tracking this heat wave that's been impacting much of the southeast, the east coast, parts of the northeast. Had temperatures over 100 yesterday. Could have that happen again today. Record highs possible on the east coast. We're going to have flow around this high pressure, which is going to bring in some of that moisture from the Atlantic, and that will give us, again, high humidity levels and the potential for a few storms a little bit later on. Not going to be anything widespread, but the main story today is still going to be the heat here locally. Heat advisories up until this evening for all of southeast Tennessee, North Georgia, northeast Alabama. So practically our entire coverage area. Once again, heat index could reach as high as 107 degrees here in the valley. So very similar to yesterday. High temperature is going to be back in the mid to upper 90s, reaching 96 in Athens, 96 in Lafayette, 97 in Calhoun, and when you add in the humidity, it's going to feel like 100 to, again, up to 107 here in the valley, from Athens to Dalton to Calhoun. And if you tuned in at any point yesterday evening when they were showing some of the current heat index values, it was just not a very comfortable day yesterday, and today is going to be much of the same. So do what you can to stay cool. And as we take a look at those heat index values tomorrow, as high as 100. So heat's going to come down somewhat for your Thursday, but it's still going to be pretty hot and humid. But hey, a summer in the southeast, that's about what you expect this time of the year. But as you take a look at your 7-day forecast, again, highs are back into the low 90s, which is actually pretty close to average for the end of June and the beginning of July. Notice how the heat index also goes from the mid 105s down to about 96, 97, which is still hot and humid, but it's not those dangerous levels of heat that we're dealing with today. And another good reminder, again, we're talking about staying hydrated, limit that strenuous activity, look before you lock, but also keep in mind that you are going to be dealing with very hot concrete and asphalt temperatures during the middle of the day. Again, the asphalt can reach as high as 150 degrees, which can do permanent damage to your pet's paw pads. So again, grassy surfaces this time of the year is usually the way to go. Here's a look outside. This is looking north over downtown Chattanooga. There's AT&T Field. There's US 27. Starting to get signs of twilight out there. Again, sunrise just before 6:30. So we're getting closer to that. But if you're heading out, you're not going to run into any weather-related issues. That's the good news. In fact, it's quiet across the entire southeast. This will look a little bit different later on because we're tracking the potential for some isolated severe storms between about 4 and 9 o'clock Eastern time. A level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for Athens, Cleveland, Chattanooga, most of our coverage area. But the further east you go, that's where you're going to have a better chance of storm coverage, a higher storm coverage, and gusty winds and small hail where you have that level 2 out of 5 risk. So I'm talking Murphy, Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and points east. And as we take a look at your future cast, the latest short-term model guidance is not showing a lot, but notice a couple of these storms firing up. And any storm that happens to pop up could quickly become severe because we're just going to have so much storm fuel out there, but the coverage isn't going to be all that high. So a lot of you will stay dry with quite a bit of sunshine for most of the day. But if you do get one of those storms later on, it will help to cut down on the heat, at least briefly. And then as we get into your Thursday, could be a few showers early on in the morning, and then by the afternoon and evening, storm coverage going to be a little bit higher. And once again, any storm that happens to pop up tomorrow could become severe. But again, we're not looking at any kind of tornado threat over the next several days, and that's pretty typical for this time of the year. We don't have much in the way of tornado activity, but still going to be gusty winds, small hail potential over the next several days. And then as we push into the weekend, we're still going to have those daily storm chances, plus your temperatures are going to start to come back down into the lower 90s. So again, just looking at your 7-day forecast here across the Tennessee Valley, storm alert weather mode today, only about a 30% chance of a shower. So again, a pretty good chance that some of you stay dry. And then moving into the last couple of days of June, temperatures back into the low 90s. And of course, we're going to be dodging some of those storm chances. Not looking at any washouts on the horizon, but still just those typical pop-up summertime storms.
Sometimes it's nice because it cools stuff down. I mean, unfortunately, then after it stops raining, it becomes a rainforest.
As soon as the sun comes back out, it's absolutely brutal. But at least you get that brief break from the heat. We'll take what we can get.
All right, thank you, Clay.